Hey folks, welcome back. As promised, we're going to do the YouTube video pick as far as the 5,000 kilogram. No, where am my brain going today? It's early. It's 7:15. I had coffee, but I think I need more. The 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So this video that's going to follow this is, of course, the one on the lift here, which I haven't even finished editing yet. So I'm doing this shot so I can get it done. Yeah, I haven't had time because we've been dealing with that. Yeah, we got the DRO installed on the lathe and it's fully functional. Did not film anything on this because I started to, and then I realized there was no way I'm going to be able to do it. Logistically, and the fact that it took me like 3 days to get this done because I had to make everything to make this thing work. There's only one small bracket that came with the kit because it's universal, was able to be used to mount stuff. I had to make everything else. I used the mill extensively. I milled a bunch of stuff and made aluminum brackets to get this thing in condition where it actually mounts up and everything's trammed in right. And anyway, like I said, the only time you're going to see this is in future lathe videos. That's why I haven't been able to get to the finishing this video on this airlift yet, is because this thing has been consuming my time. So now that she's done, we'll move on to other things, of course. Today is Friday the 15th. I'm gonna try to get this one up. It's hard to get it up anymore by 5 or 6 p.m. tonight, my time. Anyway, let's get to it. I've already got the video pulled up in a random YouTube comment picker tool. Too early for this shit. So here we go. We're gonna put the keyword in. Here we go. We're gonna pick winner number 1 right now. Pete from Tennessee, you're winner number 1. You will win this, which is the Bikini carb holder and a t-shirt at Pete-from-TN. I'm assuming that's Tennessee, whatever. Let me write it down. So what I'm gonna have to do is go look that up now on the video comments. There was only 30 comments, so it's not gonna be hard. Then I'll send you a message or a reply to that comment. Let me go write this down. You'd think I'd have some damn paper right here, but of course I don't. All right, that's number 1. All right, now we're gonna do the second one, and that's just for a t-shirt. Randy Tutt, 1712, at Randy TUTT 1712. All right, and that's the 2 winners right there. So the winner number 1 that wins the 2 items again is Pete from Tennessee, at Pete-from-TN, and at Randy, R-A-N-D-Y T-U-T-T 1712. So I'll get with both you guys in the comments as far as a reply to your comment on that video, and then we'll take it from there. You got to email me and give me your information, and I'll blast these things out. So again, everybody, thanks for commenting, watching the video, and playing along with me here on this giveaway. I really do appreciate the 5,000 subscribers, and here's to another 5K. As I said, we're still growing as we speak right now. It's above 5,000. I just cannot express my appreciation to the extent that I need to for you guys to be hanging around and watching my videos and stuff. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get on with the video here on restoring this pneumatic cylinder on my airlift. Hashtag not fun. What I'm doing is I'm doing maintenance on the lift. The pneumatic cylinder is leaking. When you put air to it, you can hear it blowing out the top here with this plate that bolts on. Gee, I wonder why. So I had to figure out what lift this was, and it's a direct lift, but with the sides on it, the extensions, I forgot that it was labeled over here, direct lift. I've been looking all over the internet because I forgot that was behind the sides. And I just realized that today, but I went on the Direct Lift website and they have 2 types of kits for the Direct Lift. There's a newer kit and an older kit. And so I needed to figure out what the kit was. Now I knew this thing, supposedly the older kits are pre-2017, and I'm pretty sure this was before that because I bought it from my neighbor down the road who works on Harleys. And I'm sure he had it well before 2017. The difference is inside here is a bushing for your piston shaft right there. And the older ones are white and the newer ones are black. So obviously I have an older kit. So I knew which kit to order. It comes with a seal that goes inside there. There's like a machined groove. It's like a square groove inside there for this seal, which goes in that way. You put a new seal on your piston. There's a seal that goes on the outer side of the bolt. There's a big ass bolt, a BAB, that holds that piston in place. I think it's over here, yep. So there's your BAB, and that's the seal that goes in the outside of the seal, that side of the piston. Very similar to a hydraulic piston. So this was pretty dumb of me because I just forgot that was there, and I've been trying to figure out exactly what model lift this was, but when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I know which one this is. It matched up with the pictures on their website and whole bit. So I ordered the parts from DennisWeaver.com.
DerekWeaver.com, not Dennis Weaver. Jeez, this guy's an idiot. Sorry, Dennis.
The kit was 139 bucks, but I got overnight shipping. I need this lift back in service. I got to get that big girl on here. There was no way that lift was going to pick that bike up with a piston like that, because it was really starting to bypass like big time. So I'm glad I'm doing this before I put that up, because the last thing I want to see is a catastrophic failure and the thing goes slamming down or something and damage the bike. Or me, or both. So we're gonna get this back in service tomorrow afternoon or Saturday morning at the latest, depending on when my FedEx comes tomorrow. Again, hashtag not fun. So we'll show you the end result when get to that point. Yeah, I'm a dummy about this whole thing. There's no question about it that I am a dummy. But you know what? I'm a cool dummy, so that works out. So you're gonna love this sketchy setup. See, what happens is, even with this thing locked with the stop in place here, that connects the table to the base. Okay, the moving part is actually this frame here that goes down at that X. You know, drawing that end of the piston up, that Y-shaped thing with the two wheels that sits in those little areas there, spreads those two arms out, thus lifting the lift up. Pivot point for that is the long bar that goes through that holds the top of that piston in. Or I should say, really the backing plate of the piston in. And so when you take that bar out, this thing just wants to go boom. And I didn't realize that, and I drove it through this way, and next thing you know, it drops down a little bit, and I go, oh shit. So I had to come up with this way to do it. I made those stands, or not really stands, those supports there adjustable for this lift when I had the extension tables on and I had something really heavy when the lift was all the way up, for example, to stabilize it. Like if I was working on a sidecar or something big, I could you know, do something like that and keep it stable. Especially if I had the second lifting gauge, which I typically do with a sidecar job. That's what these are for. Never used them before. I made them a couple of years ago, and they've been sitting over there underneath the bench. I pulled them out, and I had to do some modifications to them. And then I had to clamp a couple of bent pieces of aluminum up in there so they capture squarely. And so that's what's holding the damn thing up right now. Now I have bars back in. I have the main bar that goes in there and a smaller one over here. So if that let go, it would just go clunk a little bit anyway. Plus I got a backup with the chain hoist. All right, to my OSHA approved. Yeah, it's OSHA approved, that's what it is. You know, we got a backup on top of a backup, and that's mainly from when I'm working underneath it. I gotta reach in. I don't want this thing coming down and cut my arm off. Now I'll show you a little better shot of the piston, cleaned up, ready to go. Actually, I'll show you the bore first. Bore came out real nice. I mean, I cleaned it all out, and I went in with some 1000 grit and just WD-40'd it and wiped it all out. Nice and clean, all ready to go. Here's the piston, all cleaned up. Pretty heavy duty item. And this is the bolt side, so it's got a little counter bore right there for that seal that goes over the end of the bolt. This is the seal that goes on the end inside there, inside a little groove. I think I mentioned that before. And if you're doing this side, the open side goes in, or it goes that way, you know, toward this side of the piston, or the end of the piston. So it came out real good, but so far it's excellent. I'm real happy with it. But this is the piston ring. I showed you that before on the piston, but this just fell apart taking it apart. This thing is just completely trash. I'm really surprised it lasted as long as it did. That's what we're gonna do here pretty soon. So if you're doing this on a direct lift, I'll put the kit information, like a link, and I'll put a little screenshot here from this, I think I call it Dennis Weaver. I think it's Derek Weaver, something like that. I may have screwed that up before. Dennis Weaver's the actor, you know. DerekWeaver.com, I think it is, and they have the kits and very good to work with. So that should be here today because I overnighted it, as I said, and then we'll get this thing back together. Look at what we just got. New seal kit. It was expensive for overnight, but I'm glad I did it. Anyway, it's definitely the right seal. You can see the similarities right there. You can see that the seal's got a lip on the back side of it, like a typical seal would be. Except this one's pretty big, like something King Kong would wear during, I can't talk about that on this video. So obviously, well, it wouldn't be so obvious, but in my opinion, obviously, it goes in this way because the pressure comes from that side. The fitting is down there, which is right there. And so again, when the air pressure is applied to it by the foot pedal, it pushes the piston up toward this end, essentially drawing it in or sucking it in. And that pulls that gizmo over there, you know, that has the wheels on it and the piston rod, and it makes the lift go up by the method I explained before. Pretty simple stuff. This is all cleaned out. I'm going to go ahead and get this installed on the piston off camera. I'll get the bushing installed and the seal inside there. If you're doing this, the opening side of the seal, that side, goes toward the inside. And then this side is, this little seal here is for the bolt. It seals off the bolt on the piston end. Not unlike a hydraulic cylinder. If you see any hydraulic cylinder videos, like from Cutting Edge Engineering or Farmcraft 101, you know, John, he does a lot of his own cylinders. And pretty much the same thing. All the cylinders pretty much have an O-ring in them somewhere where the bolt goes through, or inside where the piston rod goes through the piston itself. So let me get this done. We'll come back and we'll install it. This wasn't easy. If you're doing this, don't do it twice. Make sure you have this larger side pointing toward the pressure side. It registers on the piston rod in here. Well, anyway, if you're going to put this on, don't put this side on first. It's too hard. Roll this side on. So come in from the back and roll it on. It's a lot easier. I tried it this way and went, wait a minute, it's probably not the way to do it, because you got that split side here. And this side's much easier to roll it on. No worse for the wear, no damage. It's a pretty stout seal. Probably the same type of material that you find in hydraulic cylinders as well, as far as the seal material goes. And of course, a big taper down here on the opening to the cylinder. So we should be able to shove that edge through, because of course that's a bigger edge. What I'm using for lubricant is air tool oil. I can't find anything on the internet from any manufacturer of these lifts what oil to use. There's an oiling procedure listed on the back of this plate that goes back here. Put 1/2 ounce of oil every 12 months through that hole. Now it makes sense that they would want it through that hole because the pressure side is from that end. And if you're using air tool oil in the line, like you're supposed to put a couple of drops in every day, and in this case it would be on the foot control, it's going to populate this end of the cylinder anyway, behind the piston. So the piston is here. It's going to populate this end with oil, but not this end. Now this is going to come up pretty far, I imagine, when it's in fully retracted position, but or fully extended, I should say. But when it's fully retracted and that thing is down, let's say the lift is stored collapsed, you know, the piston may be down about here, so this side is all open, and I guess they want some oil in there to keep it from corroding, so when the piston does come up, it doesn't encounter any nasty stuff like that. That's my theory, at least. So now what I'm going to do is get that bushing put in, and we'll get the piston rod shoved in, and then we'll get this pushed in, put the bolt in with some Loctites and blue Loctite, and then torque it up. This bushing goes in from the inside. So this is the part that comes out the back, and it goes up against, apparently it must pop inside that groove there, because I tried putting this seal in from the back and the seal moves back and forth in there. And you know, it's a very flexible seal, so it's no big deal getting it back out. When you put it in like this, there's nothing that holds that in. So it must go in from the inside. I can't see any other way to do this. Although the drawing on the website is inconclusive, I can definitely see that this does go in from the inside, and it'll shoulder up against the inside of that groove. Now this is the groove inside there where this seal goes, and the seal goes that way with the opening toward the pressure side for the same reason. So it pushes against that. It'll actually help seal it up against the shaft. You said shaft. So in here, if you feel it in there, it's kind of hard to show you, but if you feel it in there, that inside edge of that groove is actually a larger diameter than this is. So this here being one diameter and that inside there being a larger diameter. So what happens is this comes in from the inside, right? So you put this guy in from the inside. It shoulders up, this shoulder shoulders up against that inner part of the groove. And I guess you have to do a classic reach around and shove this in from the inside, which makes a lot of sense because it'll be easier to go in. That hole is a little bigger, but this is bigger than the, well, I'll go this way, of course. This is bigger than the overall diameter of both of these things, apparently. So we can prove that out by just doing that, yeah. This goes in this way from the inside. This will go in that way from the inside and pop into that groove. Because if otherwise you got to put it like this and it won't stay. So it'll just fall out. So let me go do that, but that's the correct way to do it. So just to let you know that I did it wrong, but I do a lot of stuff wrong. So at least I fixed stuff. So this definitely goes on from the inside. I went to shove it through, it went about this far and hung up on the outside edge of that groove, that groove board. It's a little bit bigger, but you give it a pull from this side, it snaps right in. So now it's on the inside, or the outside rather, edge of that groove. So I'll keep you set up and I'll try to do a classic reach around in there and we'll get this put in. And remember, it's got to go this way with the opening toward the inside, so the pressure will help to, you know, collapse this around the shaft. You said shaft. Wee wee. All right, I think we're good. Let's see how easy this is going to be. Probably not much easy. You know what? I bet you need to tap this in with a rubber mallet. I bet you'll go right in then. You know, I've never done this before, which I'm sure is quite evident. But I figured I'd share it with you anyway because you may need to do it someday. And you know, what I did with this tube was I wiped it out really well with microfiber after I did what I said I did before with the light sanding and stuff with brake clean, and then blew it out so there's no dust in there, as far as you know. Ow! Did you see that? Ow! Ow! Beauty. I'll tell you what, if that wasn't going, in other words, if its lip was folded over, it wouldn't go. You'd have to beat the snot out of it to get it in, so I know that's good. Oh shit, just kidding. Now we'll get that pushed up to it, gentle-like. Come on. Oh, it's got some jizz coming out there because it dried up a little bit. A little bit there, good. That's plenty, it ain't gonna go anywhere. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Now, I don't know what the torque spec on this is. I have no idea. So, I seriously doubt I'm going to be able to push this because it's all tight now. Oh, yeah, no way. So I'm going to have to pull it out when we go to put this in because when we are, actually no, when we're lifted like this, we're retracted. So it's actually in a proper position. So now as far as the top plate goes, there's no seal or anything on it, as you can see, because why would you need one? The pressure's on the other side of that seal. So we're just gonna wipe this off. And the way it goes is because I know that see the air valve over there? The air valve faces to the right on this one because the line curls around from the left side. But I know that that fitting over there was down and to the right when this thing goes up in there because I reached through here to get at that hose. To do that, so I'm pretty sure that that's the way it goes. So this would go this way then, because that's definitely up because you got the little hole to oil from here. And then we'll get it set up, but I'll do all that off camera. I said I'm almost 100% positive that that's the way it was, but I don't have any photos or video when I took it apart, so oh well, I guess we'll try it. Dragging this up here was not that terrible, and then lining it up wasn't too terrible either, but I did take the big shaft up in here, the big, what do you want to call it, the pin, the big long pin, and put it in the lathe and polished it up real good with some emery because there's some set screws that go right here, and that's what keeps it from moving in and out, moving out of place. So I haven't put those in yet, but I'm going to show you how to put the oil in once this is in place because, it's not like I forgot to do it. While the cylinder was out. Yeah, that's it. I meant to do it this way so I could show you. So I just take a small syringe, which is a 3 ml. They want 2.5, is that 2.5 ounces? I don't know, whatever it is. I put it 2.5. Squirt it in there and you're good. And with the, the drop section off on the back here for the rear tire stuff, it's real easy to do. I mentioned it before, I have no idea what I'm doing with this stuff, so I'm just kind of fumbling along as we go. Well, something let go. Aha! There you go. We should be free and clear to navigate. Whoa! A little sticky. Something don't seem right. Well, that is something, I don't know. Wow. That sure seems awfully stiff. I don't know, it works, but that's awfully tight. Maybe I did something wrong. I'm just going to use this, this air tool oil. Not air compressor oil, although there's probably no damn difference. Yeah, you don't want to know. All right, I think this is a stiction issue between the seal, both seals, and their mating surfaces, the shaft seal in the back and the main seal on the piston here. Using the wrong lubricant. Like I said before, I could not find any guidance on this. However, I did find a handy lift seal rebuild kit, video rather, and it's like the exact same cylinder. And they said to put it together exactly the way I did. I have all the seals put in correctly. And I did this under some assumptions, and I was correct. That bushing does go in from the inside. That seal does go in the way I put it in. It's just tight because I think of the lubricant I use. They said to use STP oil treatment and motor oil, a mix of it, and swirl it around and put a good amount inside the cylinder, and then lubricate everything as it goes back together. So I think that air tool oil just doesn't have the lubricity. So because I reached in here before I wiped it all out again, and I touched the top of the cylinder. Well, actually, that would be the bottom. This is flipped over. And it was dry. There's like no oil on it. There's got to be some sort of a coating of oil in there, and there wasn't. So I think that was the problem, is lubricity. So, because everything was fine. There's nothing wrong with the seal. And like I said, I have installed everything correctly. So according to that, and that cylinder looks exactly the same as this one. I don't have STP, but I have some Lucas. It's transmission stop leak, but it's a good lubricant. It's thicker. I think they just want something a little thicker to stick on the walls. I got this on the back seal now and on the shaft. I couldn't do this before. I should have realized that. This thing was super stiff. I think this is where part of our stiction was coming from, is this piston. So this is nice now. And this is how the guy on the video for the handy lift looks when he puts this in, shoves it in, and you can move it back and forth, no problem. I couldn't do that before, so my bad. Like I said, you don't want to know. If this doesn't work, I don't know what to tell you, because I know that kit is exactly the right one. 100% sure. Oh yeah. Now that's a little better. A little better. Yeah. That's pretty much normal now. That's the way it was when I first got it. Now this will be a little test. We'll just leave it on air, see if it drifts all that much. I mean, you're not supposed to do that, but the thing is, when it's bypassing that piston, you can hear it. And it drops down, drops down, drops down, drops down. I expect some. The way it was going, it dripped pretty damn good. So yeah, it's all you had to do is lean on it, and it like drop like a stone. Not too shabby. Oh, at least that works. Yeah, that's a lot better. That's pretty much the way it's supposed to be. All right, what we're gonna do is put it up to full height, and off camera I'm gonna move this thing into its proper position. You should be able to feather it like this. And that's about what it normally did when it was up high, yeah. Now it'll be a little more controllable when it's got a little weight on it because it'll push it down a little quicker. But the stiction, that must have been the problem, improper lubrication. So, you know, live and learn. I always use this with the sides on it. I'll explain why later if I remember. I'm used to the behavior of this lift with the sides on it. So let's hook it back up and see how it behaves with that extra weight. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this out here. You see the trials and tribulations of my daily life in regards to working around my workshop and maintaining equipment, but this was my own fault. I should have researched it better. There's no literature or material in the literature on this particular lift, but I didn't think about cross-referencing over to the handy lift. So I happened to see a couple of forum posts. I was sitting at my computer. I got to take a break, so I read this thing, read a couple of posts, and it's like, well, there's videos on YouTube on how to change that cylinder seal, and I'm like, really? Who would have thought that YouTube would have something like that on there? So I looked it up, saw it from the Handy company, the Handy airlift, and like I said, the cylinder looks exactly the same. So when I saw what they used, I said, yeah, this is a stiction issue because I could tell it was like binding and then releasing and binding and releasing. So you got to use the right lubricant. So once a year, I'll probably go buy another oil squirty gizmo. I'll just mix it up with a, I don't know, 70-30 mix of that stuff. The motor oil with some of that Lucas, or I'll buy some STP. And then once a year we'll squirt it. But right now it's good. I mean, I got plenty in there. So we'll give her a jack once a year at least, or maybe twice because of the humidity down here. And she'll be fine. But she's definitely operating as normal now. That is normal function with it kind of not boom, boom like it was doing before. And I could kind of tell there was something sticking, like a stiction thing, as I said before, the seal surface. When I pull the seals out, piston seal, I run my finger over that big, that piston seal, and with just the oil that was in there, and it was like, it was almost like it was clean, like my finger was sticking. I'm like, this has got to be the problem. So luckily it was. So, and I'll tell you here in a second, once I deal with his nibs in there, about why I keep the sides on it. It's a rather complicated explanation, but in summary, the reason why I keep the sides on it is I don't have a place to store them. Well, that's part of it. The other part is, when I put something big on here like the Concourse, or this guy will be a perfect example of it because the brake's all locked up and I'm going to have to walk it up with the winch pulling it up. And so with the sides on it, I can put the side ramps if I'm riding something big like this up and have my feet touch the ground the entire way. So I have the big middle ramp, and I have the two end ramps, which didn't come with, I had to make those. I made them out of two old ramps, that you roll your car up to, split them, flattened them out, and then re-welded them. And they work really well. And I welded some pins on there. And so that's what goes into these holes. That's why they're marked R and L for right and left. It's not because I don't remember my right and left, but because these are not, you can't swap them. The way I made them, I kind of just banged them together. So the little ramp, or the side ramps on this side only fit this side. They only line up to those holes, and vice versa on the left side. So that's mainly the reason why I keep the sides on. It is convenient to put your tools and stuff on, but in reality's sake, the more room you have, the more clutter you got. And you've seen probably in some of my videos, this whole thing is just taken up with a bike and freaking tools and shit. So sometimes it's better not to have the space, that way you don't clutter it up. But like I said, I don't have a spot to keep these, so the bottom line is I keep them on, and they work better for me when they're here on the main lift, the big lift. as extensions than they would sitting in the shed or somewhere else. Assuming they'd fit in there. I mean, I don't really have any room for them in there. So I tell you what, I'm pooped. I gotta clean up and go take a shower and get dinner going here shortly. I'm exhausted. Yesterday I was too, working on this thing. This thing's heavy. Now, I didn't film how I flipped this thing over because you don't want to know. But I did it fairly safely. Didn't get hurt. But did you die? No. So everything's all good in the end. This thing really kicked my butt. But this obviously is not the way to do it. It is the way I did it. I have to make sure I put that disclaimer up at the beginning of this video because I don't want somebody looking at this video going, oh, here's a video on how to change the seal in my direct lift or whatever lift. I'll watch this one and learn how to do it. Don't do that because I was hunting and pecking all the way through here. I just didn't know how to do it, but I do now. So if you like what you saw, stick around. There'll be more crap like this coming up. I guarantee it. There's crap breaking around here all the time. I got a problem in the mill with the thing vibrating. There's some sort of a balance problem in the pulleys. I want to change that over to a VFD anyway. Put a 220 single phase on it with a VFD. Well, actually it'd be 3-phase with a VFD. So get a 240 3-phase motor and then get the proper VFD for it. So all I got to do is turn a little knob and I can change the speed and just set it on whatever pulley I want to leave it there permanently and then be done with it. So that's coming soon. Like I said, if you like what you saw, you stick around. Like, share, and subscribe, please. Helps me out. Then you get notified when crap like this goes up. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.